All right, so now we've heard our sonata-allegro movement, we've had our contrasting slow movement, we've had our sort of transitional minuet and trio movement. Now we're ready for our big finish, which is usually going to be something fast. Although, as we will see with composers, particularly in the Romantic period, they might do something completely different for that last movement for dramatic effect. Mozart does something interesting in his last movement as well, and that is that he takes the sonata-allegro form that we use in the first movement and sort of combines it with a rondo. So he calls it a rondo, but it's really closer, I think, to a sonata-allegro kind of structure. So I'm going to talk about it that way, and you can make your own decision about that using the knowledge that you now have. So remember our sonata-allegro, we would have a first theme, we would have a second theme, we would have a repeat of all that. So let's just listen to this, and I will stop as we get to the various sections to remind you of what you should be hearing. See the similarities to the first movement? It's got that same sort of rocket idea that we've already heard. Not quite as dramatically rocket-like, I would guess. You know, this is like the soft rocket version. But it's a similar thematic material to what we've already heard. And he does exactly like he did in the first movement. Kind of gives you a clue that we're done with that section. All right, let's move to our second theme. So what happened there? We would normally expect theme 1, theme 2, and then go back and do it again. It sounded like he was going back. There was a sort of a theme 1 that came back there, but then he went away from it. So this is Mozart. Remember, this is a mature work, so he's been doing this a long time. He says, let's go off the path here a little bit with our first theme. So he turns his first theme almost into a closing theme for a little variety. And instead of having a very dramatic, we're done with the exposition like we had the other ones, he sneaks you back in. So I'm going to back up just a little bit so you can hear how he sneaks back into that repeat of our exposition. We would have expected to go right there. Now we're back. So we've heard that before. That's the same way he transitioned us back into the exposition repeat. Now he's transitioning into the development section, or maybe he was thinking this was a B section since he decided to call this also a rondo. Let's see what happens. Do you think that's new enough and different enough to be called a B section? I don't. That's why I think this is more of a sonata-allegro form. He's really just taken things that he's had before. But you can look at it either way you like. You can call it your own B section, or you can call this the development. But unlike our previous development where he sort of just led right into it, now he's given us a, whoa, I'm done with that. Let's try something different. So what do we expect to happen next? We expect theme 1, right? So let's see what happens. Okay, was that theme 1? No, Mozart's really messing with us here. Instead of coming back to theme 1, he says, I think I'll skip over that and do theme 2. So we went from the development back to theme 2. And then we're going to theme 1 after theme 2. What's happening here? We haven't heard that before. What he's doing here is taking advantage of our equal temperament opportunities, and he is modulating all over the place. So he's taking our ba-da-da-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum, and just throwing it all over the place, modulating around. So now it really doesn't sound like a recapitulation because he's gone off into some developmental sort of territory. So maybe that's another reason he might have decided to call it a rondo. So we're going to continue on, see if you can tell when the coda happens. Hey, if you were listening carefully, you heard that same little dun-dun-dun-dun-dun where he sort of led you every other time they were about to change sections. Happens again here. So around the 424 mark in that piece, you hear that thing happen again, and then you hear little bits of the first theme and second theme, but then it starts wandering away, and you could think that that's where the coda happens, right in that area where things sort of wander off, and then finish with our lovely classical big one chord at the end, which we love. So you've now listened to an entire piece of classical music. This may be your first one. If it is, good for you. You made it through one. This one's fairly short though, so I'll warn you that there will be others that will be much longer. So we've been through the sonata-allegro, we've been through the slow movement, minuet and trio, and we finished up with an allegro movement. As we talk about other types of instrumental music from the classical period and the Romantic period in particular, we're going to see this particular structure applied to lots of different kinds of pieces of music. So we'll be practicing a lot with that. And if you want a chance to just practice listening for those sections of the sonata allegro form and just sort of getting the idea of how the sonata cycle works, I have given you another piece, a Haydn symphony in the same playlist that you can listen to and practice those skills so that you'll get much better at it as we work through these different kinds of pieces that also use the sonata cycle.